Guns hidden under our petticoats.
Under our petticoats.
Sleep. No,
Iconic.
never gonna sleep. And no, no, no. That's actually a really good song. The 1975 are good. Last album was a bit good though.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
put the-
hello.
Hi.
Hello. Hi. It's episode 214 of Heroes of Handheld. And it's Chris and Colin, and it's your weekly dose of the news you need to know when it comes to games. Oh my God. The news you need to know when it comes to games on the go. How has it taken us 214 episodes to come up with that?
We should put that on our t-shirts, which we're going to be releasing soon.
Need to know on the go. No, that doesn't quite work. Anyway,
episode 300, we're going to make t-shirts. I think that's
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're going to we should have Patreon as well. For the $5 a month tier, you get exclusive one-on-one Colin chat.
And for an extra $100, I'll take my shirt off.
That's for one lucky Patreon. This is Heroes of Handheld, episode 214. This is the internet's premium handheld gaming podcast, talking all things handheld, whether it be Switch, Vita news this week, 3DS news this week, and mobile as well. My name is Chris. I'm joined by Colin. What have you been playing this week?
I'm Colin. What have I been playing this week, Chris? Well, I've actually been playing a few games, as well as playing Call of Duty World War II, which I am still addicted to because they keep adding new game modes and event playlists, like the war game type, the war game mode, which is amazing. It's mission-based team gaming, and they've made it so there's now 9 players on each team, so it's carnage. Been playing that. That's good. Last week I briefly mentioned it. I've been playing the Back to the Future Telltale game, which I got on Xbox Games with Gold last year.
Have you finished it yet?
No, I'm on episode 2. It's really good, and it came out 2010, I believe. So before Walking Dead and all the ones that got them into the main public eye and public attention. But the story in it's really good. I've not seen all the Back to the Future films. I believe it's set after the films, but what's really good about it, it's more puzzle-based gaming than just like, obviously it's a interactive story, which a lot of them are, but there's a lot of puzzle elements to it. Like, you've got to solve problems by going to certain areas and getting certain items, and that sort of element I think is missing from the later Telltale games. Like, there's not really any puzzle elements in like The Walking Dead or
they used to be a lot more like point and clicky, didn't it? I don't know. Have you ever played Sam and Max?
No, I've not. That is one of theirs, though, isn't it?
Sam and Max was like the headline Telltale game back in the day. And that was very much like you would go into a room and you'd have to find the pencil and the pad of paper and then the piece of chewing gum that you'd use later on to stick a table leg to something. Whereas the Telltale games now, there's not really any of that, because anytime it's more decisions, isn't it? It's more it's more like interactive storytelling. Because even The Walking Dead had a bit of it where you had to find batteries, then the batteries just didn't do anything.
Oh yeah,
iconic.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I sort of prefer it. I like the more puzzle element to it, because it feels like you're more engaged with it and you're more intrigued and you explore more of the world as well. The voice cast is fantastic in it. It's really good. It's quite dark as well in places. It's not like, I know Back to the Future was always like a PG-13. Was it a PG-12?
Yeah, it must be. Certainly wasn't anything higher than that.
There's some dark themes in it. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and episode 2, and I'm going to be playing more of that soon. And I don't know why I put off playing it for so long, but there you go. Sorry, my phone was ringing.
That's all right.
That's not professional. Anyway, another game I've been playing this week, and we must say it's the 25th of April recording, so it's Happy Hogwarts Mystery Day.
Hooray!
Woo! So this has been a long-awaited game from Portkey Games, Harry Potter adventure game. It's been advertised for months. There's been trailers. There's been loads of people getting hyped over it, and it finally released today on iOS and Android, and I have downloaded it, and I have been playing it. It's free to download. I've probably played about 15-20 minutes so far.
Have you got stuck in the devil's snare yet?
No, is that a thing people?
Whatever. What's the vines called?
The vines?
Devil's. Yeah, the vines. Devil's something.
Devil's snare is that plant where it's in the at the end of Philosopher's Stone, where they're trying to find the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah.
And it's where they land on it and they have to relax, otherwise it just gets tighter. You think of the Whomping Willow? Is that?
No, I am thinking of Devil's Snare.
Okay, Devil's Snare, Devil's Snare. There's a saying there, but I can't remember it. I'm not going to give a full review yet because I've only played a little bit of it. I am liking it. The animation is really nice. It plays really well. The voice acting, obviously, got a lot of the original cast. Like they've got Maggie Smith playing McGonagall, and a lot of the other actors from the films in as well. And that voice cast is stellar. The story's intriguing at the moment. I don't think this is a spoiler saying about a little bit about the story. I mean, I've not got far enough in to actually have any proper spoilers, but it's set the same year as Harry Potter survived Voldemort's curse. So it's actually back in time. So Harry Potter's still a baby. He's not in it, but it's briefly mentioned that it's that sort of time frame. So it's just happened that Voldemort's been disappeared after trying to kill Harry. And also your character is known around Hogwarts. It's sort of famous because you've got an infamous brother who was expelled from Hogwarts, but it's all a bit of a mystery at the moment as to why that is. I'm sure you're going to learn more as we get further in, but I'm really enjoying it at the moment. It is fun. It's fun. The things that are worrying me about it, I've done a potions class actually, and I've done a charms class, which is good. And something that is worrying me a little bit is there is the whole energy aspect to it. You know, when you do certain actions and it takes energy away, and you do earn coins and gems for things that you do as well. So I don't know what they're going to be used for. I do worry that as I get deeper into the game, there's going to be cases where I'm going to be prompted to try and buy more of all those things, but we wait and see how that is implemented in there. Bit disappointed. There's at the moment, I'm only early stages, but there seems to be a lack of exploration at the moment. Like there's not much exploration you can do. You're sort of like told where to go and that's it. But it might open up as I get further in because I'm just doing the tutorial levels at the moment, aren't I? So yeah, I'm intrigued to see where it goes. And Chris, I'm going to let you talk about what you've been playing because people keep ringing me and I'm going to find out why. So
okay,
cover me.
Mute your mic.
I will. Cover me.
So I have been playing Marvel Puzzle Quest, which is definitely in the run-up to Infinity War. It feels like Marvel are really going ham on advertising their mobile apps because Marvel Puzzle Quest and Marvel Strike Force, I feel like, have been everywhere. Strike Force specifically, I haven't touched yet, but I wanted to give Puzzle Quest a try because one of the podcasts that I like was advertising it. And it is a, I guess you'd say it's like sort of like a Bejeweled clone match 3 puzzle game from Marvel, based on Puzzle Quest, which I think was quite big on maybe PSP or PS Vita. You have a rotating cast of heroes which you can play as. And the idea is that as you match different colored tiles, your heroes charge up different powers. And then, you know, there's like enough enemies that you have to beat, and you can do damage just by making matches, or if you make enough, say, match different red tiles, different yellow tiles, whatever, you will be able to generate energy for your heroes that you can then use to do bigger and better attacks. And it's not time-based, it's very much a turn-based thing. Like every turn there is like a ramification of the different moves that you make when you move and swap the different tiles. What I will say is that I like Bejeweled because what I like the most about Bejeweled is it's very simple. It's very much, you've got a minute, make matches as many as you can. If you make a match of this type, you'll get this type of piece, this type is this type is this type is this type of piece. What I'm finding a little bit intimidating about Marvel Puzzle Quest, hi Colin, is that it feels like every time you make a move, suddenly the screen goes wazzy and things start falling everywhere, and you can't just play the game and match tiles. You have to be constantly like looking at your heroes, checking how charged up the powers are, checking what opponents you're against, rotating the board if you need to. I mean,
let's rotate the board.
I get that for some people that will be really fun, but for me, I'm just finding it a little bit overwhelming because I want to just like match the tiles and go for a good score, which there isn't actually a score system so far. I've not unlocked. All there really is you trying to beat the bad guys by, you know, doing moves and getting power out of it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it grows. I think hopefully it will get a bit better once that I've got more kind of characters and more variety, and once I'm not too far out of the tutorial as well. But it's interesting. Have you noticed this as well, Colin? Actually, in the run up to Infinity War, I was just saying there's it feels like Marvel are really going hard on promoting their mobile apps.
Yeah.
Like I feel, especially like Puzzle Force and Strike Team or Strike Force, which I haven't played the Strike one yet, and Contest of Champions as well, the fighting game. It's kind of interesting because like I mean, we know that there is a Marvel Avengers game on the way for the kind of bigger consoles. I think that's being made by Square or Crystal. So it's interesting that for now all they've got to promote is these handheld, is the mobile games. But obviously that must be doing good for them.
Well, anything Marvel, anything Avengers, Infinity, anything like that, it's going to be like gold dust at the moment because everyone's hyped for it. Out on Friday. Woo!
Yeah, so it's an interesting title. I mean, I haven't felt so far like you need to make many purchases in the game, but we'll see how that shakes out later on when I get a bit further and onto slightly harder levels. It does annoy me slightly because you play a lot of times it feels like the game is setting you up to fail because it will generate blocks you can't get rid of unless there is ones of a certain color near it. And quite often it's like, well, the game decides what color blocks fall where. So if I can't get rid of that block, it's not necessarily my fault. Like it's the game's fault. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I'm still playing it in a week. But it's all right.
Games, eh?
Yeah, and it's nice because you can play it one-handed as well. So you can play it whilst you're like standing on a train or having a wee or whatever.
Beating the bishop, shining the Oscar.
Oh, quite. Shaking hands with the one-eyed milkman. Colin.
That's a new one. Yeah, hi. You're right.
I would like you to give me the headlines of handheld gaming this week, please.
Well, one news story I want to talk about, and hopefully I'm doing this in the order that you want me to do, Chris, because I know you're like evil dictator when it comes to the podcast and the running schedule. But I want to talk about WhatsApp. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. You can clear that with me.
Yes.
just not for too long because it's kind of a boring story.
Yeah, it's very brief here. This all comes down to the GDPR, which is coming into force on the 25th of May, which is the General Data Protection Regulation, which is basically giving the public more control over what companies have on you. So that your information, so your contact details, bank details, things like that. So you're going to have a lot more control from the 25th. And a lot of companies are scrambling to try and get in line with this. Otherwise, they're going to be getting fines from the government and EU. So my company I work for actually are really stressing about this because they actually hold quite a lot of data on people, not in a bad way, but just because of the sort of line of business that it is. So we need to decide what we can keep and can't keep. Anyway, to get in line with that, WhatsApp are increasing the age of how old you have to be to download and use WhatsApp. So currently you have to be at least 13, but they're increasing the age to 16, which means under 16s are now going to be banned from WhatsApp in the European Union. This GDPR, which I said about, is only for countries in the European Union. So it doesn't count, America, North America, whatever. So this increase in the minimum age for WhatsApp is only going to be in the EU. It's not affecting America, where it's going to stay at the age of 13. So it's just it all comes down to this GDPR, which is a very complex matter, really. Obviously, people at the moment are very protective of their data. One of the big things that happened recently was Facebook and them sharing data, obviously potentially trying to influence people and things like that. But with the new GDPR regulation, companies have to make reasonable efforts to verify that a parent or guardian has given consent for their child's data to be handled. And so this applies to under 16s. So yeah, that's why it's being done. It's to fall in line with this and not to get in trouble. But I don't think we've had much information on what the other social media channels are doing. And obviously there's people who aren't happy about this. There's loads of tweets in this article on the BBC website where they're saying, oh, my daughter or my son's under 16, but he has to use WhatsApp for this, that, and the other. So yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know if you've noticed this, but a lot of companies, a lot of social media apps now have been putting pop-ups about how they to them, it's important that they keep your data and information private. I've had notifications from Twitter and Facebook over the past few days, and I'm sure we'll get more from the other social media platforms as well as we get nearer towards the 25th of May. So I just thought that was interesting. I don't use WhatsApp that much, to be honest with you. I've never really felt a need because most people have iPhones now. Just use iMessage, much easier. But yeah, if you're under 16 and you listen to this podcast, you're in trouble because you can't use WhatsApp anymore.
So, yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of I've been getting a lot of emails from your Instas and your Twitters and stuff, just to be like, we're updating the terms of service. This is what's going to happen now, and it's quite yeah, like you say, it feels like everyone's sort of scuttling to try and get this out ready in time because it's
we'll leave it to the last minute because I think this initially came in. This was proposed about 2-3 years ago now, I think. So it's I guess it's come around quickly for these companies. But yeah, that's important to keep in mind as we get nearer to the 25th of May. Let's talk about some more news. So I want to quickly mention this one. This is Nintendo Switch related.
Hooray!
Yay! So as we know, Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is going to be released this October. We're all very excited about that, even though Black Ops 3 was terrible and Black Ops 2 was questionable. And Black Ops 1 was amazing. I love the first Black Ops because that was the one. Was that the one where they introduced?
That's the one with the numbers, Mason. What does they mean?
I am Viktor Reznov, and I'll have my revenge. You're such a good story.
Yeah, Black Ops 1 is incredible.
That's
what a
great
game.
Story. The second and third one, yeah, not so much, but the fourth one's coming out this year. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, so this is just rumor at the moment. So some people were hoping that we'd get Call of Duty on Nintendo Switch, but according to an insider, it's pretty much been confirmed that there's not going to be a Black Ops 4 port to Nintendo Switch this year. Are we upset about that? Don't know. A lot of people over Call of Duty now, even though I'm playing World War II, so not really a big deal. But what's interesting is this rumor has come from Gaming Intel, and they have revealed that potentially Nintendo Switch will be getting a Call of Duty game, but not your standard first-person shooter, campaign zombies, multiplayer. What's been rumored is that there's going to be a battle royale version of Call of Duty, so obviously similar to Fortnite and PUBG. An interesting idea. I mean, obviously, battle royales are very popular at the moment. Fortnite, especially, has made it, absolutely massive. And I hadn't thought that Nintendo Switch doesn't have either of those games yet. And I don't think we've had any information on whether we are getting Fortnite or PUBG for Switch, which is interesting because it would seem it would be a lot of fun on Switch because it works well on mobile. So why doesn't it work on Switch? There you go.
Yeah, I think a lot. To be fair to Fortnite, I think a lot of it isn't. I feel like the Switch could process Fortnite in terms of the map and the gameplay, but I think it's the online capability of it. I think it's having 100 people online at once. Like we haven't really seen the Switch being capable of that level of online technical kind of prowess yet.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of any announcements for this, I think the community event for the new Call of Duty, because they always have massive fanfares and events for this, is on the 17th of May. So when we get to that day, obviously we'll get all the details on Black Ops 4, and if there is going to be an officially licensed Call of Duty Battle Royale game on Switch, then you'd imagine that they would reveal it. But we wait and see.
I would take that as a compromise, actually, because I'm not really fussed for Call of Duty on Switch.
Yeah.
But like, it's a sort of cheaper like battle royale mode. If it was good, I would be up for that. And I think it would. I don't know. I know the gag is that everyone's rushing to get battle royale games made, but I kind of feel like Call of Duty the one thing that Call of Duty consistently does incredibly well is online multiplayer.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like it would be interesting to see what they would bring to that formula.
I mean, for me, Battle Royale is Battle Royale. It doesn't matter what skin it's got, whether it's Fortnite skin, whether it's Call of Duty skin, or a PUBG skin. It's just a Battle Royale at the end of the day. They can just change how it looks. But will the Call of Duty one look much different to PUBG? I'm not so sure. I mean, I guess it would depend on what the map was like and whether it was like the massive mountain range or
because Call of Duty maps are normally quite. I mean, they're not small, but like they're never huge, are they?
No,
whereas the PUBG and Fortnite maps obviously are kind of infamously big.
It'd be interesting to see whether they base it on any country or any landmark or any area of the world as well. But yeah, this is just rumor at the moment, nothing confirmed. But we look out for this because this will be very interesting if we do get something like this. Right. So another quick bit of news I want to mention. Not going to spend too long on this, but we have a release date for Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus on Nintendo Switch. It's going to be coming out on June the 29th. Now, I've never played Wolfenstein 1 or 2, and as far as I'm aware, isn't it like a universe where the Nazis... It's to do with Nazis and the war, isn't it?
It's to do with the Nazis, and it's kind of... It's more based in truth than you might think, because there are documented... examples of Nazi scientists investigating into kind of strange and sort of strange scientific phenomenons, and I mean, not magic, but there were Nazis looking at strange and weird science, and Wolfenstein is based around that. Is the idea is that the Nazis are kind of super techno developed. I haven't played Wolfenstein, the first one. I've played other Wolfenstein games, but I'm keen for this. But I mean, I don't know. I think it's great that it's coming, but I wonder whether people would rather just play. And this is actually going to lead into a conversation we're about to have. So I'm just going to seg across.
Yeah.
This is a port of a game which is, already available on PlayStation and Xbox. And there's kind of an issue, not an issue, but an online movement regarding this at the moment, because South Park, the reviews embargo for South Park lifted earlier this week, or maybe late last week, earlier this week, for Fractured But Whole, which is coming to Switch. And the general consensus seems to be for what I've read of South Park, Fractured But Whole, which has already been out on other consoles for a couple of months, is that the game runs really well and is fun to play, but is way too expensive for what it is, because when it's charging the same price that it initially cost when it came out for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but it's not got there's not like the DLC isn't bundled in on the other ones. If you pre-ordered the Fractured But Whole, you got Stick of Truth. There's none of that here, so it's like, I'm kind of curious what you think, and I'm really curious what you guys listening at home think, because with ports of games that are already out on other consoles coming to Switch, I wonder what people think about paying full price for them, because on the one hand, it's not free to port a game, and it is like it can be an expensive process, and it takes time and it takes effort away from studios that could be working on other things. But the trade-off is, the game is coming out in some cases years, in other cases months later than it originally was, and definitely isn't that expensive anymore on the other consoles. I mean, Skyrim was, full price Switch title, but it did come with all the DLC. But is Skyrim, which is a 6-year-old game, 11, so 7-year-old game coming to, and South Park is not a new game. It's been out a couple of months, and it is always on sale, or is it's been on sale on PlayStation and Xbox stores. And we know with Nintendo, when these games are on the eShop, they don't tend to drop price for sales very often. Colin, obviously you're infamous for your lack of willingness to spend money,
right?
But what's your take on this?
Now, when I first this was first brought to my attention, I was floored. We haven't actually said how much they are charging for this. So if you want to buy this on Switch, it's going to set you back £49. Was it £49.99? It was, that's 50 quid for a game that's been out since late last year on the other platforms. But my excuse for you, this isn't really like, with ports. When I think of a port to the Nintendo Switch, I think of a game that's been out for a couple of years and then makes its way onto Switch. So it's like, oh, if I miss it the first time, now I can play it on the console that I own. I think this is a little bit different to that. I mean, it seems to me that this was always meant to be released alongside those other... I think it was announced back in December, January, was it?
I think it was like
November. I get the impression that because it's not actually been that long since the Fractured But Whole came out on those other platforms. I think it was it October, November last year when they got it?
Yeah.
initially this was always planned to be released at the same time. So rather than see it as like, oh, a port of an old game, it's still seen as being in that whole window of it being a new title. So I think that, in my opinion, they can sort of justify charging a bit more for this game because it's not that old. It's only been out for a few months, and it's probably, you never know, behind the stages, obviously, maybe it was delayed for various reasons, but it might have always been planned, like during the initial production cycle of it, like early last year. You never know, Nintendo might have approached them and said, we want to bring this out on Switch, can we do this? Or they approached the Nintendo, whichever way it works, and maybe it's always a plan to release it on Switch. So with that in mind, if that was always part of the plan, then surely they're going to charge the full price for it, as it would be on Xbox or PS4. I mean, even though it's a bit delayed and it's not been, it's been out on other platforms for a few months, people who own a Switch won't necessarily own a PS4 or an Xbox One. So you can say, oh, they could have played it on other platforms, so why are they charging the same price? Well, a lot of people, Nintendo Switch is their only platform.
Yeah, is their only console.
So obviously they're going to charge their full price because it's a new game for the Nintendo Switch. I think for this one, I can sort of, in a way, justify why it's. I mean, obviously it's a lot of money anyway for a game. I think £40 fine for a game, but that's just me. I'm a bit of a cheapskate. But I think with this one, you can sort of justify it a little bit. There are other examples, as you mentioned, where the price for Switch of older games is being like almost a full price retail price, which is ridiculous. I mean, we had it with the PlayStation Vita all the time, when games would come out on the Vita months or years after being on other platforms, and they would charge about 15, 20 quid for a smallish game that's been out for like a very long time, and that was out of order. And with Switch, I think the problem with it, I'm sort of going to be devil's advocate here a little bit. I think they need to charge. I mean, initially, I was annoyed when it was a PS Vita issue, but I can sort of see it probably costs these developers money to obviously, rejig it works on the Switch from working on PS4 and Xbox One. So to recuperate some of their costs, they have to put a significant price tag on it. Otherwise, there's no justification for them doing it. That would be my argument there on those.
Yeah, ones. It's interesting. It's hard, isn't it, as well? Because also it's like, you want to support games coming to Switch, but financially it's like, well, how much? Because if no one buys South Park, Bethesda have said this week that they're really happy with the support their titles are getting on Switch, and that's because people are buying them. But if South Park is this expensive and that affects the sales, then Ubisoft are going to be like, all right, well, we just won't.
But this isn't really the South Park isn't really the sort of game where you'd think, oh, that's a game I really want to be able to take on the go with me. It just doesn't seem like that sort of game to me. Or maybe it's the sort of game where you wouldn't think, like, if you're sitting down playing on your Xbox or your PS4, you wouldn't think, you know what, I would love to play this technically advanced game on the go. Whereas games like Skyrim or other big titles that are ported to Switch, the fact that you could play them in a handheld mode is what has probably made people purchase them. Skyrim being a prime example. Like being able to play such a huge game, obviously, it's not as technically amazing as it was because it's 2011. Obviously, we've progressed a lot, but the fact you can take Skyrim on the go with you is like a marvel, which is probably what made people, purchase it. Same with LA Noire as well. That's another big game. Like, if someone had told me a few years ago, or like when I first played it, that at some point I'll be able to play this on the go on a handheld console and it would run smoothly and actually be the full game, I would have said that's crazy talk. But for South Park, I don't think people I can't see it selling as well. Say a Skyrim. Well, I don't know what the sales are like for LA Noire. I don't know. They might not be that good, but I think the big appeal is these big games that people can take around with them in a handheld mode. And there are certain games where, being able to play like proper big games on the go is just like incredible. Some games you don't really think about it. See what I'm saying? So
yeah, I definitely do. And like, South Park, for disclosure, I haven't played it, but obviously I've watched videos about it and stuff. And like you say, it feels like if they needed to, they could probably get it to run on a mobile because it's not like a demanding title. Yeah, I don't know. I think what I would really like is for our listeners to chime in at Handheld Podcast on Twitter. I'm keen what people think is a justified amount to spend on a port of a game.
You're aware, if you want to buy the Fractured But Whole from CEX Computer Exchange used for Xbox on the PS4, it will set you back £18. That's £18. But that doesn't come with any DLC though. That's just the main game.
I mean, this was a problem with the Wii U as well, because the Wii U, when they first announced it, it was like there was I don't know if you remember, but Arkham City came to Wii U, and Assassin's Creed, and this was a big thing. And then the ports and the third-party support ran dry very quickly because people weren't investing in buying it. But so then obviously there's something to be said about that, and part of why I think the Switch is doing so well at the moment is because Nintendo obviously are releasing a big title every couple of months, but there is consistent third-party support, and it's games that people get excited about. So I hope that I tell you what I really hope, Colin. I don't even care that the port is full price as long as it runs well, because my worry is that games will come to Switch and will charge full price and won't be a good port job, and then that is worse, I would argue. Like, if it's going to be cheap, if it's going to run bad, make it cheap. If it's going to run well, charge full price, but don't cross the streams. Just
like Borderlands 2 on PlayStation Vita, and that was quite expensive.
It ran
like
there's also
shit.
Kind of interestingly, on the tweet where Nintendo announced that Wolfenstein's release date, people are kicking off because you need a memory card to play it, because the game is too big for the Switch's internal memory. So that's a whole other. I mean, that Switch memory cards are easy to get hold of because it's like a generic format rather than the Vita ones, but it does seem similar. But then also, maybe the game won't do well, but if Nintendo keep plugging the great stuff on it, then who's gonna mind?
Exactly. There you go. I still want Skyrim. That's the end. That's the message to take away. I still haven't played Skyrim, and I really want to.
If you send me back Zelda like you said you would, I'll send you my copy of Skyrim.
Oh yes, you need to send me your address. I've still got the envelope here that you sent mine in. Oh, I've got. Yeah. Oh, there's a return address on the back. Well, there you go.
It might be my old return address though. What's the postcode? Just say the first bit.
Sierra Whiskey 4.
Yeah, that's my old one. I'll give you my new one.
Right.
That's fine. Very quickly.
Yeah.
The last couple of bits of news before we do group chat is that on the Splatoon side of things, there is a big update. Came out yesterday, 6 p.m. Pacific time, which has brought a lot of new content to the game. Loads of new gear, new songs, old characters returning, a new rank type for people who are super hardcore, X rank. Splatfests are changing the way that they run. They're being more accurate in the results that they give. There's loads of changes. We'll put a link to the change log if you want to read it, because if you're really into Splatoon, there's a lot of stuff here. Changes about like different weapons being nerfed and upgraded and things. Also changed to salmon run and to spectator mode. So do have a look at that if you're interested in playing Splatoon. And finally, on the news this week, Colin.
Yeah.
Before we do group chat, is that the 3DS eStore is having a big old sale in the US of A. Games like Seventh Dragon 3 VFD, which I assume doesn't stand for the disease, is down to $19.99. Eternoblade is $7.49. Double Breakout $4.90. Cronus Arc $4.99. Lots of games here I've not heard of.
I'm afraid you are missing out one of the biggest titles to ever hit.
Oh, really?
Yes. Hidden Expedition Titanic.
Oh yeah, Attack on Titan is down to $9.99, which is a good deal. So
find out why they let Jack over the door and he froze to death. Still hurts.
We will put a link on heroesfandom.wordpress.com because it's kind of hard to find by yourself, and you can have a look. Puzzle box setup is down to $2.09. What could go wrong? Colin.
Yeah.
I think that's all the news. This time 2 weeks ago, We asked what people's favorite video game dogs were.
Yes.
Now, I hope you've been thinking long and hard about this. I know I have. I actually got quite into this, and I made this was because it was 2 weeks ago we asked this when the meme was fresh. I made a March Madness style knockout bracket, which you can look at on the Handheld Podcast Twitter feed. I don't know if you looked at this, Colin. It was a little bit "You okay, hun?" I was finding things a little overwhelming. But I want to know what your favorite video game dog is from this list. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Boomer from Far Cry 5, Isabel from Animal Crossing, Red 7 from Final Fantasy, Sam from Sam and Max, Dogmeat from Fallout, KK Slider from Animal Crossing, Dinky D from Mad Max, Rush from Mega Man, Growlithe the Pokemon, Parappa the Rapper, Amaterasu from Okami, which Nyla tweeted saying was his best one, which is a good pick. Wolflink from Zelda, Chop from GTA 5, Poochie from Yoshi's Island, Duck Hunt Dog, or Bill from Star Fox 64. But other dogs are available. Colin, what are some of your favorite video game doggos?
Am I listing ones from the list you've just read, or do I?
That's some. But if you can think of others, I'd like to hear them because I had to get quite desperate for that list.
Well, I've got two, and I'm thinking we'll be happy with the two. And I've actually mentioned them before on the podcast. So the first dog is Alex's dog from Alex Builds His Farm, which is the Playmobil free PC game I played when I was younger. There was a bit at the beginning where you picked up his ball, you threw it, and he brought it back to you. And I think he was a St. Bernard, a Newfoundland sort of dog. But he was big, he was fluffy, he was happy. He just wanted to make me smile. And I do miss him. And the sad thing is, like, if the game was real and the dog was real, the dog would have died by now. So it also makes you a bit sad. So I really like that dog.
Oh.
But another dog is from the Rugrats game. Do you remember Rugrats? Remember that game I told you about?
Spike!
Yeah, there's a level in Rugrats, the search for Raptor. What did we decide it was called? Reptar? Reptar, yeah. Where you have to go around as Spike and you have to try and save Chucky, who's been kidnapped by a goose. Honestly, this actually happened. This was a level, and you have to jump over fences and avoid hurdles and not get hit by things that are being thrown at you. So I think he deserves a special mention as well because he's very agile, and without him, we wouldn't have been able to save Chucky from the goose. So they're my two ones. But out of the list you said, I do like Growlithe from Pokemon. Can I just mention about Pokemon Go at the moment? Sorry, I'm going to
Yeah.
Pokemon Go, the missions from the professor. To get Mew. So I'm on 5 of 8, and it's the most annoying challenges. I've got to catch a Ditto. I can't even affect that. It's just by chance you get a Ditto. That's bullshit. And the second one, I've got to catch 10 Ghost-type Pokemon. So these Ghost-type Pokemon, like your Ghastlies or your Haunters or that weird duck one that has a hat, like they are normally everywhere, spawning everywhere constantly. But since this event started, they're nowhere to be seen. And apparently, the Ghost-type Pokemons only spawn between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. So that is some shit right there. Not pleased about that either. So I'm going to be stuck on that for a while. Not pleased. So yeah, Pokemon Go. I'm on level 30 now on Pokemon Go. So I'm very slowly making my way up. So yeah, get in there. But yeah, dogs are great. I think that's the consensus there, isn't it? So many dogs.
That's the general shtick. For me, there can only be one video game dog. And I mean, I love dogs. I love video games.
Like Dags. You like Dags.
Do you like Dags?
Yeah,
that's a reference from a film. But Colin,
yeah,
there is only one dog I would ever pick for this. And that is the receptionist herself, the queen of Animal Crossing. It's got to be Isabel. She's just so great.
Oh, like, she's the one that was in the mobile version as well, wasn't she?
She was. The one
that guides you around and shows you what to do. Do you still play that? Do you remember that was a thing, the Animal Crossing game?
My friend Phil, who does listen to this podcast, he's almost hit maximum XP.
Wow.
Because he plays it obscenely. Like I think I got to level 8 or 9.
Why?
I think he's on level 75, if not higher.
Now that is dedication. That's dedication to the cause. But I just couldn't get into it. Which is a shame. But
the thing with that game is the only way you can get experience is from leveling up your villagers' happiness, and all of the villagers have like a max happiness.
Yeah.
So for him, it's like a race because every time they add new villagers, suddenly he's down again. So he has to try and get everyone as happy as possible before they add new ones. But yeah, it's got to be Isabel, right? Here's the thing.
I think she's a bit whiny. I'm just going to put it out there.
You're a bit whiny. She's a queen. She's amazing in New Leaf. She helps you build an amazing town, which starts off as a shit tip. She's amazing in Happy Home Designer because she lets you live your dreams of designing homes. And she's amazing in Mario Kart because you put her on a city tripper and there's no stopping you.
Wow. The dream woman.
I would do anything for that dog. I would lay down my life at the merest second if it meant that Isabel from Animal Crossing was going to be okay.
Well, there you go. There you go.
I mean,
are we surprised? Probably not.
Do you not agree? Did you know that about me? I don't know if I mentioned it before.
What?
I'm a little keen. She's just great.
Well, there was that time back in the first year of the podcast where you were playing Animal Crossing like every second of every day. So, yeah. Not surprised. But I didn't really see her as a dog. Is she really a dog? I mean, looking at her, it doesn't look...
Look at her nose. Look at her nose and ears.
Oh, Isabel, Animal Crossing. Let's have a look at this. I don't...
She's a golden Labrador. She's great.
Well, I can see it from the... No, I'm not really feeling it with the hair. It looks more like a fox.
No, she's a dog, you twat.
I bet there's a lot of Rule 34s on her.
Oh, I would know. I don't know what that is.
You say what?
Right. Colin, okay. What is... I'm curious. I don't know what you're doing with this. What's your group chat for next week?
So, well, no one's going to know this, but I've got a birthday coming up, and because of this, I've asked for a Nintendo gift card for my birthday for the eShop gift cards, which I think go in either £15 or £25. They were the two that I saw. Anyway, so I should be getting a £25 gift card, and I need a Nintendo Switch game to play, people, because all I've got is Rocket League, and as much as I like winning, like playing against the computer in Rocket League, it just isn't filling the void. So I want people to help me. What game can I get for under £25 on Nintendo Switch, which I should play straight away? Answers on the postcard, please.
£25
or less. £25 or less.
What do you want? One game, or would you get several cheaper?
Well,
ones?
if you think the games are of a high enough quality and that you can get it under £25, then by all means tell me anything. As long as it's under 25, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mini games or one big game. You decide. Let me know. Why should I be playing it? What will I get out of it? Why will I be addicted to it? I want a game that I'm going to get addicted to.
Give us a bit more context. Are you playing by yourself? Are you playing on the go? Are you?
I haven't taken.
Does it have to be single player online?
Oh, that's a good one. I think single player. You know, I'm feeling like a nice single player adventure. I just say like a single player adventure game. That's it. That's all you got to work with. So
okay.
You do your best. I know you're smart, and our listeners out there are smart as well. They know their stuff about games and what I like, because I feel you all know me better than I know myself sometimes. So I think you'll choose well. So please let me know your thoughts.
I'm curious. Yeah, I'm keen what people are gonna say. Actually, I'd be quite interested to hear their answers.
Lovely. So how can people let us know their answers?
Right, Colin, it's really, really criminally simple. You can tweet us at Handheld Podcast. You can go on the website, heroesofhandheld.wordpress.com, to send us an email through there. Or if you want to do it direct, it's heroesofhandheld@gmail.com. There's also a Facebook, but there's not much point going on there. And there's a YouTube, but I wouldn't write anything on there either. Email heroesofhandheld@gmail.com or tweet at Handheld Podcast. It's that simple.
That simple.
And Colin, this time next week, I will have watched Infinity War. I hope you will have too.
Yes, I'm watching it on Sunday. So we're going to give our thoughts on this.
I'm going to text you spoilers. No. I'm going to text you spoilers.
They all die.
I'm going to text you spoilers. Oh my God. Bucky is the Winter Soldier. Oh my God.
How could you? He killed whose parents? Anyway. Move on. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I hope it's up to the hype.
Yeah, I think it will.
I think I've pretty much seen them all now. I've not seen Doctor Strange yet. I think that's one of the only ones I've not seen.
But it's good fun.
Yeah, they're all good. I haven't seen Black Panther either, actually. That's another one I need to watch at some point. But that's very come out. So yeah, people love that film. So yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Thank you for listening, everybody. We'll be back same time next week, and I'll have a proper review of Hogwarts Mystery. Forward to that. Till then, have a great week. Goodbye.
Bye.